What if I told you that this iconic symbol of the tropical paradise, this lush, green backdrop of every jungle fantasy you've ever had, is not just a passive piece of scenery, but a silent, sophisticated engineer reshaping the entire ecosystem from the ground up? We've been conditioned to see the jungle in layers: the canopy, the understory, the forest floor, but we've missed the master conductor hiding in plain sight, the humble, gigantic banana leaf. This isn't just a plant. It's a biological supercomputer executing a billion-year-old algorithm for survival and domination, and its strategies are so effective. They're currently being plagiarized by human engineers to design everything from more efficient solar panels to unbreakable waterproof fabrics. Forget what you know about photosynthesis being a gentle process. Inside every square inch of this leaf, a silent, violent war is being waged for photons, a war that dictates which plants live and which die in the shadow of these green giants. The data from canopy research stations in Costa Rica and the Amazon reveals a shocking truth. A single, mature banana plant with its full complement of leaves can alter the microclimate beneath it by up to 5 degrees Celsius, creating a completely different world of humidity, light, and soil chemistry that only a select few organisms can tolerate. This isn't coexistence. This is ecological tyranny. The leaf's immense surface area, often stretching over 9 feet long and 2 feet wide, isn't an accident of nature. It's a calculated weapon. It's designed to capture every possible drop of sunlight in the intensely competitive dimness of the jungle floor. But in doing so, it creates a profound rain shadow, a dryness that prevents the seeds of its competitors from germinating. Think of it as a living, breathing umbrella with a vicious streak. But the manipulation goes further. The distinctive tear along the leaf's central rib, the feature that makes it so recognizably jungle, isn't a design flaw. Biomechanical studies using high-speed cameras and wind tunnels show that this perforation is a genius adaptation to prevent the entire structure from being shredded by tropical storms. It allows catastrophic winds to pass through, sacrificing a part to save the whole, a lesson in resilience we're only now applying to skyscraper designs. Furthermore, the leaf's surface is a marvel of nanotechnology. Under an electron microscope, it's not a smooth, waxy green. It's a chaotic landscape of microscopic ridges and valleys coated in a complex polymer that does 2 contradictory things perfectly. It sheds water in massive sheets during downpours to prevent weight buildup and fungal growth, while simultaneously condensing and funneling the smallest droplets of morning mist directly to its central stem. A self-watering system more precise than any irrigation drip line. This water isn't just for the plant. It creates a vertical river system for a micro-ecosystem of tree frogs, insects, and epiphytes that have evolved to live their entire lives on this single, cascading watershed. The leaf, therefore, isn't an individual. It's a floating continent, a mobile home for biodiversity, and its death, when it finally arcs gracefully to the forest floor, isn't an end. It's the beginning of the next act, as it decomposes at a rate carefully calibrated by the chemicals within its flesh. It doesn't just add nutrients to the soil. It releases specific compounds that inhibit the growth of other plants while favoring the suckers of its own parent plant, ensuring the dynasty continues. This is the dark secret of the jungle scene. The serene beauty is a lie. It's a battlefield, a boardroom, and a throne room. And the banana leaf is a reigning monarch, executing a plan written in chlorophyll and cellulose. And as we journey deeper into this scene, you'll see how every single element, from the smallest insect to the largest predator, is either a pawn, an ally, or a rebel in this leaf's Game of Thrones. So, if the banana leaf is the architect, what world does it build? Let's step into the universe it creates. A universe measured in inches and defined by scarcity. The moment a new leaf unfurls, a process called circinate vernation, where it slowly unrolls like a giant green scroll that instantly changes the rules of life for everything below. The first and most precious resource it commandeers is light. Using a photosynthetic strategy called the shade avoidance syndrome, the leaf cells are packed with a specific type of chlorophyll that is hyper-efficient at absorbing the narrow spectrum of blue and red light that manages to filter through the dense upper canopy. Satellite spectral imaging and ground-based lidar scans show that the light under a banana plant is not just dimmer, it's qualitatively different, skewed heavily towards far red wavelengths. This far red light is a signal, a biological siren song that tells other plants to stop growing, to conserve energy that the space is already taken. This is why the ground directly beneath a banana plant often seems so bare. It's not just physical blockage, it's chemical and light-based warfare. But in this engineered darkness, a specialized society emerges. This is the kingdom of the shade-tolerant, the opportunistic, and the symbiotic. Look at the floor, and you'll see not grasses, but a carpet of Selaginella mosses and certain fungi that have evolved to thrive on the specific cocktail of tannins and phenolic compounds that leach from the decaying leaf litter compounds that are toxic to most other seedlings. The leaf, therefore, carefully selects its own cleanup crew. Then come the animals, each playing a role in the leaf's grand economy. The large, slightly upturned leaves act as perfect acoustic reflectors. Bioacoustics studies have recorded how the arrangement of these leaves amplifies and directs the mating calls of certain tree frogs, turning the plant into a natural amphitheater for reproduction. The frogs, in return, provide pest control, consuming insects that might nibble on the precious foliage. But the most fascinating relationship is with the humidity. Every leaf is a massive, living evaporative cooler. Through transpiration, a single plant can release gallons of water vapor into the air each day, saturating the immediate atmosphere. This creates a localized weather system. Data loggers hidden in these microhabitats show humidity spikes of over 95% in the air, just around the leaves, a condition that is essential for the survival of orchids and bromeliads that anchor themselves not in the soil, but on the leaves, very stem and midrib. These are not parasites, they are tenants paying rent. Their roots trap falling organic debris, dust, insect carcasses, pollen, and as this matter decays, it forms a tiny compost pile that provides nutrients not just for the orchid, but which are also absorbed by the banana plant itself through specialized root structures. The leaf has outsourced its nutrient gathering. It's a landlord and a beneficiary in a perfectly circular economy. Even the apparent vulnerabilities are clever traps. The large leaves are often tattered by feeding insects, but this damage is a calculated loss. Research from canopy cranes has shown that a certain percentage of herbivory actually stimulates the plant to produce stronger defensive chemicals and to redirect growth to new, undamaged leaves. The old damaged leaf becomes a sacrificial decoy, a designated feeding zone that keeps pests predictable and localized away from the newer, more valuable growth. And when the storm comes, as it inevitably does, the leaf's biomechanics become a community shelter. Small mammals, reptiles, and countless insects cling to the underside of these leaves, using the thick midrib as a structural beam to ride out the torrent. The leaf that engineers a harsh, competitive world by day becomes a literal lifesaver by night. This is the paradox. The banana leaf creates a niche so specific, so challenging, that it forces evolution into overdrive, fostering a unique concentration of life found nowhere else in the jungle. It is both a ruthless dictator and a benevolent protector, and its rule is absolute, because every creature under its domain, from the fungus in the soil to the frog on its surface, has its fate inextricably linked to the health and strategy of this single, magnificent structure. The scene is not a peaceful collection of organisms, it is a highly integrated, pulsating machine, and every cog knows its place. Now, what happens when the most brilliant engineers on the planet, human beings, stumble into the scene and finally start paying attention? We've moved from exploiting the banana plant for its fruit to decoding the genius of its leaf. And what we're discovering is revolutionizing fields from medicine to urban planning. For centuries, indigenous communities living within these jungles have understood the leaf's utility not as a quirk, but as applied science. They used the massive leaves as waterproof roofing, temporary blankets, and natural plates long before the word biomimicry entered our lexicon. But modern science is now quantifying why these ancient practices worked so well. Take the leaf's waterproofing. As mentioned, its surface is nanostructured. Material scientists have successfully replicated this structure, creating synthetic coatings that are so effective they're being tested on the hulls of ships to reduce drag and on medical equipment to prevent bacterial biofilm formation. The principle is called the lotus effect, but on the banana leaf, it's supercharged. The leaf doesn't just repel water, it directs it with purpose. Engineers are using 3D modeling of the leaf surface channels to design new, vastly more efficient gutter and irrigation systems that can move maximum water with minimal energy, a potential game changer for managing stormwater and megacities prone to flooding. But the innovation goes beyond water. Look at the leaf structure under an X-ray microtomography scanner. Its internal architecture is a masterpiece of lightweight strength. The network of veins isn't just for transport, it's a hierarchical fractal support system that distributes mechanical stress evenly. Aerospace engineers are feeding this data into algorithms to design new, lighter, yet stronger support trusses for satellites and drones. Then there's the miracle of its temperature regulation. The leaf manages to avoid overheating in the blistering tropical sun through a combination of its high transpiration rate and the specific arrangement of its chlorophyll. Agronomists and renewable energy experts are collaborating to create bio-inspired solar farms. They're arranging photovoltaic panels in overlapping, spiraling patterns based on the Fibonacci sequence observed in the leaf arrangement phyllotaxis of the banana plant. Early data from test sites shows this arrangement reduces thermal stress on the panels and increases overall energy capture by up to 15% compared to traditional flat arrays because, just like the leaves, they shade each other's bases while maximizing exposure throughout the day. In medicine, the antimicrobial properties of the leaf surface, long used in traditional cultures to wrap and preserve food, are being isolated. The compounds responsible are showing promise in lab studies as novel, non-antibiotic agents to prevent surgical site infection. Furthermore, the leaf's ability to compartmentalize damage, to seal off a wounded area, and prevent the spread of pathogens is a model being studied for creating self-healing materials and even new cybersecurity protocols for networks. Perhaps the most profound lesson, however, is in sustainability. The banana plant is a zero-waste system. Every part of the leaf is used until it is fully reincorporated into the system. Modern circular economy models are now being built on this exact principle, moving away from linear take, make, dispose models to closed-loop systems where the waste of one process is the fuel for another. Inspired by the leaf's journey from vibrant green architect to decomposing fertilizer, we are, quite literally, learning how to build a better future by staring at a leaf in a jungle scene. This isn't poetic metaphor. It's hard engineering backed by petabytes of data from spectral analysis, fluid dynamic simulations, and molecular biology. The leaf is a masterclass in multifunctionality, resilience, and efficiency principles we desperately need to adopt. So the next time you see that familiar, fluttering green shape, whether in a movie or a photo, see it for what it truly is, one of nature's most successful and copied patents. A silent professor offering PhD-level courses in survival, design, and harmony, if we're only willing to listen and look closely enough. But here's the heartbreaking, crucial twist in our story. This masterpiece of natural engineering, this entire world of intricate relationships and brilliant adaptations, is under a threat it did not evolve to face us. The very scene we've been marveling at is disappearing at an alarming rate. And with it, we are losing a library of solutions to human problems we haven't even encountered yet. The primary threat isn't just the clearing of land for agriculture, though that is the blunt instrument. It's the subtle, systemic changes caused by climate change and habitat fragmentation that are unraveling the delicate balance the banana leaf governs. Let's talk data. Climate Models project shifts in precipitation patterns for the world's tropical regions. More intense, sporadic droughts followed by deluges. The banana leaf's water-shedding design is optimized for a specific rainfall rhythm. Prolonged droughts stress the plant, reducing its leaf size and transpiration rate, which collapses the microclimate beneath it. The humidity-dependent orchids die, the frog populations crash with their acoustic stages, and the soil, no longer shaded and chemically managed, changes. Peer-reviewed studies from fragmented forests in Southeast Asia show that in these edge habitats, banana plants and similar understory engineers are often the first to vanish, leading to a catastrophic cascade of biodiversity loss, reducing species count by over 60% in affected zones. Furthermore, the increased carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, while potentially acting as plant food, is creating leaves with different chemical compositions higher in sugar, lower in defensive compounds. This makes them more palatable to pests, throwing off the delicate balance of the sacrificial leaf strategy. We're seeing unprecedented insect outbreaks in monitor plots that are altering the very fabric of the food web. But the danger is even more direct. The banana plant itself, especially the wild varieties that are the true genetic reservoirs of the traits we admire, is threatened by monoculture. The commercial Cavendish banana we all eat is a sterile clone, vulnerable to pandemics like the Fusarium wilt fungus. Wild banana species, which often grow in these jungle scenes, possess the genetic resistance to such diseases. They are the insurance policy for our global food crop. When we destroy their habitat, we are not just losing a beautiful leaf. We are actively burning the instruction manual for saving a fruit that feeds millions. This is why the conservation of these ecosystems is not an aesthetic luxury. It is a strategic necessity for food security, medical innovation, and climate resilience. The jungle scene is a living hard drive, and we are formatting it before we've backed up the data. However, there is a burgeoning field of hope, restoration ecology. Scientists are now using the banana plant and its companions as pioneer species in reforestation projects. Because of its fast growth and profound ecosystem shaping abilities, planting banana plants can accelerate the recovery of degraded land by up to 3 times, quickly recreating the microhabitats necessary for other, slower growing species to return. Communities are being empowered to create food forests that mimic the natural layered structure of the jungle, with banana leaves providing the essential canopy for shade-loving crops like ginger and turmeric below, creating sustainable livelihoods that are economically viable and ecologically restorative. This is the ultimate call to understanding. The value of this leaf, of this entire scene, cannot be measured in board feet of timber or acres of palm oil. Its value is in its intelligence, its resilience, and its inherent, irreplaceable knowledge. Every time a hectare of this jungle is cleared, it is akin to bombing a library, a university, and a cutting-edge research lab all at once. We are, in our ignorance and short-sightedness, discarding the blueprint for a sustainable future that took millions of years to write. Protecting the scene is an act of self-preservation. It is about securing the tools, the cooling systems, the water harvesters, the medical cures, the architectural blueprints that we will need to survive the challenges of the coming century. The leaf that taught us so much still has its most important lesson to impart, the lesson of interdependence, and the catastrophic cost of breaking those ancient, vital bonds. So, where does this leave us as observers, as admirers, and ultimately as stewards of a planet that contains such wonders? We are left not with a dirge for what is lost, but with a manifesto for action inspired by the very subject of our journey. The banana leaf story is one of audacious agency. It doesn't just exist in its environment. It actively, relentlessly shapes it, to create the conditions for its own survival and the survival of a whole community. We must adopt the same mindset. Our passive appreciation must turn into active participation. This final chapter is your field guide on how to do that no matter where you are in the world. First, become a curator of awareness. The next time you see an image or video of a jungle scene, look for the banana leaf. Notice its placement, its size, its condition. Share that observation. Talk about why it's there, what it's doing. When you understand that it's an engineer, not just decoration, you change the narrative for everyone you speak to. Use your voice on social media to follow and amplify the scientists, conservationists, and indigenous communities who are on the front lines of protecting these ecosystems. Data shows that public interest drives funding and political will. Your clicks, shares, and comments are a form of modern-day conservation currency. Second, bring the lesson home literally. You can biomimicry the leaf's principles in your own life. Reduce your water waste by thinking about efficient funneling and storage. Support companies that are investing in circular, near-waste models inspired by the leaf's life cycle. Choose products that are designed with nature in mind, from biodegradable materials to energy-efficient appliances that mimic natural thermodynamics. In your garden or on your balcony, create your own microhabitat. Plant native species that support each other in layers, understanding that a healthy system isn't a monoculture, but a community of specialists working together. Third, and most directly, support the protectors. The data is unequivocal. The most effective guardians of these jungle scenes are the indigenous peoples who have lived in symbiotic relationship with them for millennia. Seek out and support through donations or awareness organizations that secure land rights for these communities. They are not just residents, they are the master managers of the biodiversity we all depend on. Furthermore, educate yourself on sustainable consumption. The pressure on these habitats often comes from global demand for commodities like palm oil, certain timbers, and mining resources. By making informed choices and supporting transparent, ethical supply chains, you reduce that pressure at its source. Finally, remember that this isn't a story happening over there. The microclimate engineered by a banana leaf is a tiny mirror of our global climate system. The principles of interdependence, of delicate balance, of creating conditions for life to thrive, apply to our entire planet. By fighting for that single leaf's right to exist and perform its ancient duty, we are fighting for the stability of our own atmosphere, the purity of our own water, and the richness of our own future. The shocking hook we began with was the leaf's hidden power. The empowering truth we end with is that you hold a similar power. You have the ability to shape your environment, to create conditions for positive change, and to protect the masterpieces of natural engineering that still remain. The jungle scene with the large banana leaves is not just a place. It is a philosophy. It is a blueprint. It is a call to intelligent, purposeful, and collective action. Let the leaf be more than a visual cliche. Let it be your icon for resilience, your symbol for interconnectedness, and your reminder that in the grand, sweeping narrative of life on Earth, every single one of us has a vital, active role to play. The leaf has done its job for eons, engineering life from sunlight and rain. Now it's our turn. The script is written, the scene is set, the action is yours. If this journey from a single leaf to the fate of our planet resonated with you, then your next step is crucial. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because this channel is dedicated to uncovering the hidden intelligence of the natural world, one scene at a time. We turn wonder into understanding and understanding into action. In the comments below, tell me one thing you'll do this week, big or small, inspired by the genius of the banana leaf. Let's build a community of curious, active stewards. Share this video with one person who needs to see the world this way. And finally, click the link in the description to get a free, detailed guide on how to support legitimate rainforest conservation projects directly and to explore the scientific papers that inform this story. Knowledge is the first step. Action is the next. Let's get to work.